based on everything I'm hearing, as a franchise, as an organization, they're really wrestling with what to do because this is not a lovey-dovey reunion. Like everything is still very, very raw. So how festive and celebratory can the Mavs really be? And, Bobby, you might have more insight on this than any of us since you've been inside those walls and know those kind of discussions, because it's not a warm and fuzzy reunion. It is still a very raw reunion with a lot of emotions on both sides. And most of all, take the two teams and the trade participants. Well, you can't take them out of it, but just the fans. Like, this trade has been received so poorly among the fans. And I think the only thing we know, Luka is going to be showered with absolute love tomorrow. That much we know. But to me, almost everything else is a wild card. Like, do you just run your typical tribute video? Do you run separate tribute videos for Luka and Moxie Kleba? Do you run a video with them together? I think that would probably really piss people off if that were the case.
Oh, don't forget Markieff.
Yeah, and Keith. No, and Keith was, he was
more integral to the culture than Luka, depending on who you ask.
He low-key saved the season a year ago.
he was a very beloved figure here, and especially Kyrie. I mean, you saw the way that Kyrie Irving would hug Markieff Morris before every game, and that was a guy he had been with before in Brooklyn, and I think Keith too is missed. I've heard one thing they've considered is, do you run messages on the Jumbotron from fans? Like, so I don't know how it's going to go. We know Luka is going to be showered with love from Mavs fans, and how many ever Lakers fans burst through the doors.
Sure.
But like, everything else to me is a wild card.
Anything from the organization is just going to feel hollow. That's the thing. Like, what you could play a half-hour tribute video for Luka of all his cool highlights and stuff, and people would still be like, yeah, it's just doesn't really do anything for me. That's not enough. Doesn't really feel genuine or authentic. That's the thing.
What if you were in those meetings? What would you have suggested?
I would say, honestly, if I was still working at the Mavs, I would say the fans don't want to hear what we think about this player. And even if we, being we as the Mavs, or as the people that run videos on the Jumbotron or on social or whatever, even if we make the coolest, most badass video of all time, people are still going to boo. People are still going to hate us for this. Like, we shouldn't even try. Whatever you do, it's not going to be enough. So if it's a fan video, that's cool. Let the fans say what they think about Luka.
Sure.
Because nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to hear what anyone associated with that organization thinks about that player ever again.
Particularly the way that the organization has handled things on his way out the door. I can only imagine anything coming from the team in that setting would not feel genuine in any respect, given the way things have been reportedly handled by the organization. I'm sorry, go ahead.
But I think the PR implications of what's going on there is that if you're the Mavericks, you want to end up fostering an atmosphere in this game to the extent that you have control over it that is celebratory, because you don't want it to turn towards the team itself, towards Nico. That's the worst optics that could come out of this game, and some of that is a lot of that I think gets dictated by how the game itself goes. But that's, I think, the optics that you're trying to avoid. And ultimately, I feel bad for the people trying to decide this who had no part of the trade, but it's not really in the team's control. There's only so much they can do to foster an environment that's going to be, celebratory is okay. Celebratory, doesn't get, 50,000, social media retweets or 100, million engagements. What you want to avoid is the idea that, people are trashing your product, and, that you have to elevate, that you have to stand by, and the people who are in these roles, this is their job. They had nothing to do with the trade, but this is their job to try to, elevate and avoid the criticism that very well may be coming tomorrow.
Yeah, but after the video ends, it's just going to be, people will just yell "Fire Nico."
The term is hijacked.
They're not gonna clap. They're not gonna cry. They're not gonna do anything.
This is kind of what I mean. Like
the game will be hijacked tomorrow.
You could almost make an argument they should be playing something positive about Luka every single time out, because then at least there's some motivation for the fans to just cheer for all the Luka that they're seeing.
Self-own. You know?
It is. But is that better than
we're
an
gonna
entire?
play highlights of the guy that we
Is
got
that
rid
better
of.
than an entire arena chanting "Fire Nico"?
What you can't do is like stand on the edge of the ocean as a tidal wave is coming toward you and just shake your fist and say, "Stop that!"
Hold up a sign in protest and say,
Don't run me
I
over.
object.
I'm anti-ocean, anti-tidal rate.
Stop
wave.
doing this
I
right
get it.
now.
Like there's no right answers here.
Yeah, and like showing a 1.5-minute video during the first time out is not. It's not going to do anything but just piss people off. Like it's over. And as a former employee of that organization, as someone that has been involved in making these tribute videos very often in the past, those people were robbed of the opportunity to give Luka the send-off that they wanted. The digital team was robbed of that opportunity. The people that would have made the coolest tribute video ever, if Luka ever left in free agency or retired, were robbed of the opportunity to make a genuine video that will be received with the kind of emotional gravity and weight that it deserves. They were robbed of that by their boss and by their boss's boss and by their former boss. Those guys ruined it for them. So
something tells me that if they do go the fan thank you video route, that those will be heavily screened videos.
Oh, absolutely.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Again,
Absolutely.
Tomorrow's game, and it's something that happens in pro wrestling and other things. This game will be hijacked by the fans. The fans will do what they're going to do. There will be Fire Nico chants. There will be all kinds of things said by fans who want to let their feelings and voices be heard about how they feel about this trade, and to do so with that player back in the building so that he is able to feel the emotions of what fans are feeling based on the fact that he's not here anymore. So there should be no trying to control of what happens tomorrow. Whatever happens is going to happen within some reason when it comes to fans, and that will be what is discussed coming out of the game in a lot of ways, even with whatever happens on the floor between these two teams.